It's my pleasure today to introduce the tool number 6 in the Magic Tools family, the RSC Magic Tool. You can use it to export the resources and the rules from Excel to Primavera, and you can use it also to read the resources and the rules from the Primavera projects files. When you run the application for the first time, you will get this screen. Use method 1 or method 2 to get your product key. Enter your product key and activate the application. When you open the application, you will get the RSC Magic Tool. This is the design of the new tool. Before we start to explain how you can use the RSC Magic Tool, there is an important remark. To use the Magic Tools family, you should enable macros from Excel options. Go to Trust Center settings, and then macro settings, and enable all macros and check this box. The RSC Magic Tool is divided into 3 parts. Part number 1, 2, 3. You can use any of these 3 parts to prepare the resources and the rules, and then export them directly to Primavera. About the first part, you can prepare the resources from one Primavera file or from a group of files that you save in one folder. The Magic Tool can read up to 20 files in one time. For example, we will use this option. Let us choose this file, open, and then let the RSC Magic Tool prepare the tables from this project. Now I have 2 tables from this project, the RSC and the rule. This for the resources and the other table for the rules. I can export these 2 tables directly to Primavera, or I can add some resources or remove some of them, or modify the information and then export them to Primavera. The advantage of using this part is that you will export the resources and the rules to the resource dictionary, and you need not to export the project itself. You will get 3 tables in the resources part. The first table for the resources information, and the second table for the rates of the resources, and the last one for the resources rules assignments. You can modify these tables. For the rules, you will get 2 tables. The first one for the rules information, and the second table for the maximum units and the effective dates for each rule from the table. Let us explain some options that you can use when you modify the resources. And this is the RSC Magic Tool. You have here some options. About this option, you can use it to display the data in one of these 3 formats. You can display the data in this format, name and ID, or only ID or name only. This, for example, for this column, as you see, the RSC Magic Tool has displayed it in this option, name and ID. If I want to change the format of these tables, I can use this option. This column has number 1. I will use here number 1. To display this in name format, I will click here. Now by name, then by ID, and we can go back to the first format, name and ID. This for the use of this option. For the second table, for example, it has number 2, this resource name and ID. I can change it for name, this number 2. I will use number 2. Now format by name, now format by ID, and then format by name and ID. I can use this option to change the format according to the format that I usually use with the resources or with the rules. This is an important option. You can use it to insert new resources or new rules, or to delete the resources or the rules. This option, you can use this option. It's better than using Excel commands, because you will insert the resources or the rules only in the table that you want to modify. For example, if I need to remove this rule, I can use this option. Now I have removed it. For example, I can remove this also. And to insert a new rule, I can use this option. Now I have a new rule to insert a new rule. As you see, this will be only in this table. The second table has no effect when I use these two options. Also in the rule diagram, I can remove, for example, this rule, and I have also the option to insert new rules. As you see, I have inserted new rules, and I can delete them from here. As you see, this has no effect on the second table. Here I can remove this, and this has no effect on the other two tables in the same sheet. For this option, I can use it to fill the other tables, but we will see this option in the second part, because it will be more clear. Now let us export the resources. Suppose that we have modified them by inserting or by deleting, or modify this information. We will export this data to Primavera. Use this option to export the resources only, on this for rules only, and you can export both resources and rules from this option. Let us export resources and rules. The XCR file has been prepared. We will export it to Primavera. This is a new database. It has no resources. We will search for the file and import it to Primavera. We will import it as XCR file, and we will use the resource only. When I export resource and rules, I will use this option. When I export resource only, I use also this option. When I export rule only, I will use this option. Next, we'll search about this file. This is the new file. Open. Next. Finish. As you see, the resources have imported. These are the new resources that we have prepared in Excel. These are all resources. In a few minutes, I have finished this task. For the rules, we will search them. This is the rules. As you see, all rules have been imported to Primavera. This is about the first part. You can use it to export the resources and the rules from the old finished projects or current projects to Primavera. And the advantage of this, that you will export the resources only without any need to export the project itself. About the second part, you can use it to transfer or export the resources to Primavera. When you draw the resource dictionary as a diagram, for example, we will insert a new RSC diagram, and this will be you can also apply this for the rules by the same steps. Here we have two remarks. This is the suffix. I can use any suffix with the rule ID or with the resource ID. I can change the suffix from click these options, and here I can select the resource type. This for labor, non-labor, and material. I can use one of these options, and I will show you how you can change these options in the table. Let us insert new RSC diagram, and then let us see the diagram. This is RSC diagram. For example, we have here some samples. Let us use this sample. This is the sample for the resource dictionary, or I can use very simple formula like this. I can put all resources in one column under each other, and then I can export them directly to Primavera. And this is the fastest way to export the resources to Primavera. Only one column, all resources, and then export them directly Primavera. Let us use this example. For example, I will put it here. These are the resources. This is like the WPS. You should not have any empty or blank columns or rows. Each row must has one resource or one rule. You can use the same concept with the WPS. If you learn about the WPS Magic Tool, you can use the same steps to design the RSC, the resource diagram. I can export these tables in different format. I can export them as a table or charts or PDF or directly as XER file. As a table, for example, this is the table, as you see, and the RSC Magic Tool used the suffix like this. If I change this suffix, for example, like this, and repeat the process, as you see, I have a new suffix, and I can use different suffixes with different files when I enter this data to the same database. Now I can export these tables as a chart. As you see, we have now the data as charts. This is the same diagram, but you have here the resource ID and the parents of the resources as a dictionary. And you can export them directly to Primavera. For this option, I can get also the same information as PDF or as XCR file. If I intend to modify the data and complete the missing data of these resources, or modify the type of the resources, I can use this option. As you see, I have the diagram now as a table. These are the resources, and automatically the RSC Magic Tool has produced the resource ID and the parent resource ID, and now this data is ready to export to Primavera. I can change here the resource type by using some options in the Magic Tool. For example, if these resources are material, I can change them from here. As you see, all resources have been changed to material, and also in all columns the changes have been applied. For example, here, if these are non-labor, as you see, now all of these resources non-labor, and also all of these changes have been applied in the table. This is the first way to change the resource type. This, for example, material, and so on. I can complete the information in the other columns. If I have comment like this, I must use this data to fill in the table. For example, this also, I can fill this column only by yes or no. Any other data will be rejected. You can use only the data in the comment. To fill in the other two tables, the table of the rates and the table of the resource roles assignments, the RSC Magic Tool has these two options here to fill the resource rates and the resource roles assignments. And for the role table, you have this option to fill in the roles limits by the same method. The RSC Magic Tool, when prepares the tables, it has two extra columns, number of rates and number of roles. The default value is 1 rate for each resource and 1 resource role assignments. If you have more than 1 rate for some resources, you can change this here. For example, I can change this to 3. I have 3 rates for this resource and 2 rates for this resource. I have for example 3 resource roles assignments here, and here for example 2 resource roles assignments. I can use this option to fill this table in automatically by using this option. As you see, I have now filled in the table. For the resource number 1, I have 3 rates. For the resource number 2, I have 2 rates, and for the other resources, I have only 1 rate for each of them. I can change this from this column. For the resource rules assignments, here I can also automatically fill in this table. For example, by using this option, as you see now, the table is complete, and you have here the resources. For this I have 5 roles, and for this I have 2. I have for this 3 roles, and for this I have 2 roles. As you see here, we put here 3 and here 2. Just to fill in the tables automatically, and you can complete now the rates, and you can complete the roles. After I finish with this table, I can export it directly by using these options. I can export the resources from this option, rules from these options, and both resources and rules from this option. The third part, you can use it to fill in all tables without diagrams and without data from finished or current projects. Here you will get blank tables or empty tables, and you should complete all data. For example, let us insert, this is an empty table for resource, and this for rates, and this for resource rules assignments. You can fill in this information and export them directly to Primavera. The RSC Magic Tool will test all data before exporting them to Primavera. Any errors, you will get a message to correct them. This is about the option number 3. This is a free option. You can use any data in these 3 tables, or for rules also you can insert table for the rules like this. As I see, if you have a comment, you should use only this data to fill in the column. To know about know what this column means in Primavera database, you can click it and choose this option, database field, you will get a message like this. This header in the rules table, and this is the field in the database, and so on. This, for example, in the rules table, and it has this header in the database. This is about the table number 3. The last part of the magic tool, you can use it to read the resources and the rules from the Primavera projects. You can read only one file, and you can read a group of files from this folder. The RSC Magic Tool can read up to 50 files in one time. For example, let us use this option. We will get this file, open, and then import resources. As you see, the RSC Magic Tool imported all information about resources from the files or the information, and this is the diagram of the resources in this file. If you have any comments or any modifications, you can contact us directly by email. Until we will goodbye and good luck.